If you are playing 5-card PLO or if you are new to the game of 5-card pot Limit Omaha, then this is the right video for you. Because in this episode, I'm gonna give you 3 tips to improve your pre-flop 3-bet game for 5-card pot Limit Omaha. If you guys like the content, make sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you wanna learn more about 5-card pot Limit Omaha, then head over to the PLOmastermind.com. I'm going to use 3 hand examples to illustrate my tips for all of you. In the first one, I have aces in the cutoff. I see a limper in front of me and under the gun, Orson Corson, and then an ISO raise from middle position. And I decided to 3-bet my aces versus these 2 players. They play a ton of hands, as you can see, 50 VPIP. And I believe that my specific holding is good enough versus their ranges. Now, obviously, my aces are not the very best ones you can have in 5-card PLO, but also not the very worst ones, probably somewhere in the middle. But against the ranges of my opponent, I believe my hand is fine. Now, although I think this play is fine, I like to learn more about how to play aces in general when it comes to 3-betting in position versus one opponent, and how we should play that specific situation. Okay, 3-betting aces, guys, in position in 5-card pot Limit Omaha versus a tight open raising range. We're playing cutoff versus middle position. That is the scenario that I opened up. And this is a 100 big blind solution, obviously. And when you look into it, the first thing that you can see is that we're actually folding 3% of our aces versus an open raise. And maybe that's a little bit of a surprise, but some of the aces that we are supposed to fold are the aces where we have 4 aces in our hand. And also the majority of the aces where we have 3 aces in our hand are just going to be a fold. They don't perform well enough as a call and they're not strong enough to 3-bet with, so folding there is the right play. When you think about the calling hands that we have, 19% of the time we are supposed to call aces here instead of 3-betting. Here we're looking at aces that are slightly disconnected, that often have like 3 of the same suit, that aren't double suited, and that often also have like 1 or sometimes even 2 very disconnected side cards. Examples are ace, jack, 9, deuce, same hand as we had in the episode or in the hand example basically. However, this is a trip suited combination. If it would be single suited as in my holding, we are supposed to 3-bet. Another example, aces, king, 10, deuce would be a call. And the remaining hands, whether you are double suited, somewhat connected, you have the nut suit, all of those aces are just going to be a 3-bet in position in 5-card pot Limit Omaha. Let's jump into the second example. I have king, jack, jack, 9, 9 double suited. We see an under the gun open raise and I decide to flat this hand. Now, I think in general versus an under the gun range, we don't necessarily want to 3-bet a hand like this because we don't have an ace and therefore don't block aces. And if my opponent would open raise a normal tight open raising range, I think we're looking for a hand that is a little bit stronger or has an ace. However, in this specific situation, we play against a special player who likes to play a ton of hands, as you can see, 52 VPIP. So I do believe that my specific holding versus that opponent does actually fine to 3-bet. We can push out higher pairs, for example, a pair of queens by players that are behind me. So I think that would be a good result. And also my suits are non-nutted. So pushing out higher suits is also a pretty good result. However, I decided to call, which I think is also okay. But I think against this player, 3-betting would be a little bit better. Now let's jump into a quick overview of how to play in position with double paired, double suited hands versus a tight open raising range. With our double paired, double suited hands, when we want to 3-bet in position versus a tight open raising range, you can see that first of all, we are supposed to fold a lot. Like 55% of our double paired, double suited hands are supposed to fold. And here we're looking at hands that are very disconnected overall and don't have a high pair. The calls, 28% of them. These are hands like king, king, jack, jack, 10, double suited. Also a hand like ace, jack, jack, 5, 5, double suited is supposed to be a call. Like the first hand is, in terms of equity, it could be strong enough to 3-bet. However, keep in mind that we don't have that ace blocked. And if we would face a 4-bet, we're not doing that well versus a 4-bet range. The other hand does have the ace blocker, but is slightly too disconnected and therefore prefers to call. And the 3-bets, which we have 17% of the time with this range, we're looking at, first of all, obviously the aces. If you are double paired, double suited, and you have a pair of aces, you're obviously going to 3-bet. But also some of the double paired hands that have an ace blocker and have additional connection, basically, like ace, jack, jack, 9, 9. You can see the connection is much better than ace, jack, jack, 5, 5, and therefore this hand is supposed to be a 3-bet. Now the last example, this hand benefits from 3-betting also to push out hands like kings and queens, which are ahead of us at this point. Especially players behind us who don't call versus a 3-bet with kings or queens. We can push those out, which would be great. And in addition, the open raiser is supposed to also fold a good amount of kings and queens versus 3-bet out of position. So keep that in mind. You generally are supposed to 3-bet some of those examples and generally not too much if you have like a lot of disconnection in your hand. Last hand of today, guys, I squeeze ace, ace, 5, 5, 3. Double suited from the big blind versus a cutoff open raise and a button call. The cutoff folds and the button has a decision now to make. Now, obviously my hand is a pure squeeze. There's no question about it. It's a very strong holding. We're double suited, so no questions asked. However, what I like to learn personally more about and show you is how to play aces out of position versus an open raise from the button. How many of aces should we 3-bet? So versus one opponent. Because that scenario is just happening so often that I like to illustrate you with a couple of pointers. Lastly, guys, to wrap it up, let's talk about 3-betting aces out of position. This is probably one of the most important things to learn. 3-betting out of position versus the button. Not necessarily only aces, but your entire range. But aces is an important part of your 3-betting range, obviously. First of all, 2% of the time we are folding. Again, we're looking at the very worst aces, often quad suited. Some of the trip suited hands are supposed to fold. When we look at the calling region, 25% of the time we are calling, which is quite a bit and also higher than in 4-card Omaha, for example. Hands that we are supposed to fold or call, sorry. Ace, ace, king, queen, 6, trip suited. This is a call. Also hand like ace, ace, 10, 6, 5 with a low suit is a call. The first one could be a hand you want to 3-bet if you are single suited or double suited. For example, the hand example on the right. And the other one, ace, ace, 10, 5, 4, single suited with the ace high suit, is a little bit better than the ace, ace, 10, 6, 5 with the suit to the 10 basically. And therefore that is a 3-bet. So the main thing here is that the calls often come from hands that are slightly disconnected and also have non-nutted suits. Or they have hands that, or these are hands basically with a trip suited combination like ace, ace, king, queen, for example. Okay, guys, I hope this gives you some quick insights into 3-betting pre-flop in 5-card pot limit Omaha. We looked into 3-betting in position with aces, 3-betting in position with double paired, double suited hands, and 3-betting out of position in 5-card PLO. If you have any questions about this topic, then make sure to use the comment section below. Head over to the PLOmastermind.com if you want to learn more about 5-card pot limit Omaha. And if you want to see more 5-card pot limit Omaha or you have any suggestions about future content here for YouTube, let me know in the comment section below and I'm happy to look into that. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. Over and out. This is Luke. Catch you guys in the next one.